Hello there. Welcome back. Welcome back to the Agostino Zinga Show with your host, Agostino Zinga, and this is episode number 951. It should be episode number 951, but if it isn't episode number 951, I'm gonna cry. But it should be episode number 951. How you doing? How you feeling, ladies and gentlemen? How you doing? How you feeling? Great, good to hear. Great, good to hear. How am I? All good, all things considered. All good, all things considered. I really, truly cannot complain. I really, on my life, cannot complain. I've been liking the way my skin has been bouncing off these cameras, despite me having no trim, right? Because right now, I think like this is what separates the real fucking lengting guys from the mediocre guys. This is what separates the chopped, clapped, lengting, butting, baddie guys from the ugly ones. How do you look in the face without a trim? Because most of us, even some of us clapped ones, even some of us less less follically blessed, if we get a good trim, if we get a good fucking Gillette, goes to our head and cuts nice and bold, we get a nice buffer, we line up our beard, we trim off all the fucking nose hairs, maybe we add a little bit of a dye, a little bit of a tint, whatever we do, most of us can sharpen up and go from a 3 to like a 4 or 5, right? You could jump up a couple steps with a haircut alone. But I think the real test, the real marker, if whether or not you are a good looking lad, is what do you look like when you have no trim? And I've had no trim for like what? It feels like 10 years. It feels like I've had no trim for 10 years. And I'm looking at my face, I'm looking at my skin, I'm thinking, God damn, bro. Man looking kind of tasty still. The skin's looking like nice and like even all in one place. The Korean skincare is popping off and shit. I'm just thinking, once these LBs come up and I start cutting up and shit, and I start getting those fucking Alton Mason, cheekbones from depriving myself of food and developing an eating disorder, which we all kind of do for the benefit of looking good in clothes. Once that eating disorder kicks in, right? Once that organic eating disorder kicks in, because Ozempic told me nah. Once that organic eating disorder kicks in, I'm going to be looking, even crazier. So if I'm looking like this with a couple flipping double cheeseburgers in me, just imagine what I'm going to look like without the cheeseburgers. Just imagine without the cheeseburgers, sin cheeseburgers, nunca cheeseburgers, 9 cheeseburgers. Imagine what I'll end up looking like. What else I was thinking about looking like? I'm not too sure if you guys have seen this. Maybe you haven't because your algorithm isn't as unhinged as my algorithm. But on my algorithm, this young lady from London, I think she's from London. Yeah, she must be from London. This young lady from London went viral the other day because she shared a picture of a bag of Coke that she bought. And she was about to start doing it. And she took a picture of the baggie in her hand. And I think she had like a little plate that she does her Coke on. The plate was weird too. She had one of those plates that was like, I think it was a plate, you might get that in Ikea. It was like a weird marbly plate. It was like it had ridges. I was thinking that's a weird, a strange plate to like grind stuff on or to like make lines, because you'd imagine you'd kind of lose a bit of it in the fucking ridges. If anything, you'd want like a flat surface. I'd imagine, right? I don't know anything about that sort of stuff, but I'd imagine you'd want a really clean flat surface. But she had a little silver or some sort of mirrored circular disc thing with loads of humps on it. She had some lines on there, and then she had an Oyster card by the side. She took a picture of it, right? And for some reason, that picture that girl uploaded of her just about to do some lines went viral on my side of social media. People taking the piss out of the baggie because they said, oh, that looks like it's chopped. That looks like it's been bashed to shit. Like it's been mixed with all sorts of nonsense. It doesn't look like it's good quality. Talking about how she was cutting up her Coke with an Oyster card and that was somewhat poor or lame or not cool. Loads of comments, right? But the main comment I kind of saw, the persistent thing that I kind of saw from the comments of that girl uploading a picture of her Coke pre or during the sesh was the amount of people it kind of turned off. The amount of people that were like, ew. The amount of people, especially girls, that were like, this is a major red flag. I could never date someone who did that. The amount of people just generally kind of like talking down. And I was thinking to myself, that doesn't make any sense, innit? Because I'd imagine that girl's post, because she's in the UK, geolocation wise, it probably went viral in the UK. And if you know anything about the UK, you would know that I think last time I checked, or last time I saw on the internet somewhere, the UK might have the highest usage of cocaine out of any country in Europe. I think so. I honestly think it might be and even though we're a small island, I legitimately think there's a statistic that said that we have the most cocaine usage. I remember there was that one study ages ago, or like a report that said how somebody went to the Houses of Commons and they found like an extreme amount of like coke residue in like the House of Commons, like bathroom stalls, on the like, you know, on the little ledges that you kind of rest on. I think they also tested the cocaine levels of all our sewage water and found a lot of it in there as well. So basically in this country, people love to do blow. People love to do a bit of sniff. People love to do it. People love to go skiing. People love it. Like, you can't go out in a workplace. Like, I'm sure some of you guys have been in workplaces where people do it while they're working. People get on it after work. People do it while they go clubbing, while they're watching a game, while they're at home playing games. People are on it all the time. So I'm wondering, when I saw that girl's post and everyone kind of, you know, shaming her for being a bit of a cokehead and stuff, I was thinking to myself, like, are people just performative for the internet, do you think, on social media? Are people acting outraged and perturbed for the internet? Like, because you don't have to do any drugs, right? But I don't think anybody in the UK should be shocked if they saw some. No, I don't think anybody in the UK would be like shocked if they saw somebody shooting up, if they saw somebody smoking crack, if they saw somebody doing a bump. You don't have to do it, but because of the amount of people that do drugs in this country, and because of how, I don't know, weird, because of the weird relationship we have with like booze here, people get very, like, there's, I think most of our friends, I think even probably, we all had even a period of probably in our lives where we were like functioning alcoholics. So I remember when I was working in an office that was like a hip one, like, you know, yeah, the best example was probably when I worked at Depop. When I worked at Depop, I was like a customer service guy at Depop, handling all the fucking requests from, inquiries from people selling stuff on Depop, people buying stuff on Depop, refunds, all that malarkey, right? It was a good little community support team that we kind of worked with. It was a really good job, I'm not gonna lie. There was different shifts too. There are 2 shifts. They had I think they had 3 shifts. They had a shift that started at 7, a shift that started at 9, and a shift that started at like 12 or something like that, right? So you could kind of cover all the hours. So when I worked at Depop, the office at Depop was in this location near Old Street. If you're from London, you know what I'm talking about. It's a location called Zetland House, and it's near Old Street. And Old Street area, if I'm not mistaken, around that time, that area was called like the Silicon Roundabout. It was kind of like our version of the Silicon Valley over there in the States, in San Francisco. So a lot of like startups are there, a lot of like cool companies, blah blah blah, agencies, you know, whatever, all that sort of stuff. So there was a lot of like what I would deem to be like activations going on, events all the time in different studios. And there was also a very high concentration of some of the best pubs and like restaurants and like cocktail bars, really good in that Old Street, Shoreditch kind of location. If you know, you know. And when I was working at Depop, I saw in my life, that was the first time I got introduced to Tuesday and Wednesday after work drinks, which is the most toxic version of after work drinks. And that's the first time I'm naive, I don't know nothing, I'm out of the, you know, I'm out of it. But that was the first time I got introduced to people getting on it or drinking after Tuesday. So you work Monday to Friday, sorry. In most workplaces, your after drinks, you know, kind of going out with your friends after work, colleagues and stuff, usually starts on a Friday. Okay, it's been a long week. I want to unwind. Let's go to a bar, have a couple of drinks, share some laughs, and then boom, we say bye-bye to each other and then into the weekend. People were drinking hard from Tuesday. But to be fair to them, they didn't notice it was hard. I didn't notice it was hard at the time because you're just going with your colleagues. Someone says, yeah, you want a quick drink before you go home? Yeah, quick drink. I'm only going to have one, which is never one. You're probably going to have 2 or 3. But as you're having 2 or 3 on that Tuesday and Wednesday, all it takes is a couple minutes to warm up, and then somebody's asking, oh, who's got a packet? Who's going to get a packet? Who's going to get a baggie? Do you have a number? Do you want to chip in? It just immediately starts that cycle. So I reckon a bunch of people probably in this country, which is weird to say, probably don't even do drugs and alcohol because they want to. Just because they want to hang out with their friends. They don't want to go straight home. Like, I was like that too. I didn't want to just go straight from my house. No, I didn't want to go straight from work all the way home. I wanted to have like a little bit of a rest in between. So I wasn't just like into transport, then at home, then at, you know what I mean? I didn't want to do that. I wanted to be outside a little bit. So you go outside, you have some drink, and then suddenly here you are drinking from Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. All that to say, I'm not too sure if people are like morally grandstanding on the internet when they're acting shocked by that girl's picture, or if maybe there is a silent majority of people out there who don't do anything. I don't believe that personally, because I think the UK is full of like functioning addicts across the board. But I was really shocked by the amount of people who were kind of put off by that girl's post. Almost freaked out about it, because like, surely you can't be surprised. I was thinking to myself, surely they can't be surprised seeing somebody doing drugs. Surely not. Because in the UK, yeah, but you see people on the trains. I've seen somebody on the Central line. I've seen somebody on the Northern line. I've seen somebody on the Bakerloo line doing crack. The Bakerloo fucking line. Yes, I know it looks like a little bit of a, you know, rusty train, but if you know anything about the underground trains, like, they're not, you know what I mean? So full of different types of people coming from work. It's underground. It's a bit of a weird train. I see people shoot up on there. So people acting surprised or weirded out because they saw one girl doing a little bit of blow on the internet, on Twitter. I was like, I wonder what's going on out there. But then I also think maybe with this new Gen Z as well as coming up as well, they're known to be a little bit more sensible, innit? They're known to be a little bit more sensible. They're not as hoary as maybe millennials are and shit. They don't seem to get on it as much as millennials and shit. So maybe that influence is coming from the Gen Z kids who are a little bit more anti all of that sort of stuff, and they can kind of enjoy themselves without having any kind of adult vitamins or any kind of, you know, liquid courage poured down the esophagus, which is quite admirable, to be fair. If you're from this country, it's quite admirable to be that person, because most of the social gatherings that, you know, that happen in the UK, especially in London, they revolve around booze or they revolve around drugs or a combination of both. So if you're a person, regardless of age, that's able to hang out, because I've done it before and I'm sure some of you guys have done it, but there's nothing worse than being the sober one in your social group of friends when they're out, because you can tell the difference of how they are when they drink and how they are when they do drugs. And that change is like, then you can't really talk to them because they're all strung out, they're getting high, they're getting touchy, they're repeating themselves 17 million times, they're shouting at your face, they're jumping into conversations, they're sweating profusely, their jaws are swinging, pupils, I mean, it gets annoying. But if you meet them before, when they're just drinking, it's fine. But then as soon as a couple of drinks go in and they start getting a little bit happy, suddenly, everything fucking changes. So it can get really fucking annoying really quickly. But I was honestly shocked by the amount of people who were acting all like tooty hooty about that girl's fucking usage and stuff. But I guess some people are different. Moving on. Have you guys listened to Young Thug's new album, SCUTI? I really enjoyed it. I'm not gonna lie, I was kind of worried for him. I was kind of worried that it would be quite terrible, because so far his musical output post getting off on those RICO charges hasn't been that great, and he's received a lot of bad PR online, and just generally with how hard Gunna's been going and the levels that he's been reaching and how he seems to look physically, spiritually, mentally, he comes across like he's in a whole different plane. It just seemed like Young Thug was kind of struggling to kind of recapture some of that magic that he had before he got locked up. But I think he did a good job with SCUTI. I think this is a really good album. Again, I don't know, I'll say it's really good. I say it's a good album. I don't think it kind of like stacks up to some of his better work. But in terms of everything that's gone on, the material that we've heard from him beforehand, what he's told us in interviews about how he's feeling and lack of motivation and not feeling inspired, and the RICO charge making, you know, maybe taking a little bit of the sparkle away from him and not having his friends around him and stuff. I think he did a good job with all those things, because I'm not too sure how I would react to the album if I didn't know about all the stuff he went through, because he divulged a lot with the interview that he did with Big Bank, right? That we all watched, I'm sure, that was really entertaining and very dramatic and full of loads of fucking things that people were pulling apart for ages. But I think he did a good job considering whatever mental state he said he was in. You got to start with the cover, right? You have to start off with the cover. The cover is very interesting. It features Young Thug essentially skin bleaching himself, like with Mekako. He looks like he's white, essentially, bleached his skin. It almost looks like, you know, when before Vibes Cartel went to prison. Before Vibes Cartel went to prison, this is kind of what he kind of looked like. And yeah, it's funny because I know a bunch of people within my extended family who did this back in the day. Nowadays, it's not a thing. Nowadays, I think everyone's way prouder to be black nowadays, which I think is a good thing. But there was a time in the past, if you're from the UK, you'll know there was a time in the past where black girls who are darker than I am, right? I'm fucking dark. But black girls who are darker than I am, back in the day will tell you, oh yeah, I'm like Nigerian, a quarter Irish, a quarter Brazilian, you know, like some bullshit. They'd put contact lenses in and lie and say they're not contacts, it's the color of their eyes are actually green or blue and stuff. It's like, brother, sister, come on, Tola, come on, man. What are you doing, girl? But I think nowadays people are a lot prouder to be black. You see, even with the hairstyles, you don't really see people like, you know, fucking up their hair too much with relaxer and shit. People are putting in wigs proudly. People are wearing braids proudly. People are dreading their hair proudly. People are listening to African music proudly. They're going to African music festivals, black music. I mean, it's a whole different world. So seeing this is a bit of a throwback, like, oh shit. But it also reminds me of this cream people used to use back in the day. It was a skin bleaching cream, right? If you know, you know. It was called Mekako. I remember seeing this in a few aunties. Mekako, right? Skin lightening. I remember seeing this in a few of aunties toilets back in the lightening aunties toilets back in the day. Mekako was the one. Yeah, that's the one. Mekako is a whitening. There we go. If you know, you know. Mekako. That one right there. Mekako. Mekako. That was the original skin lightening. Look at treatment. Look at lady on the left. See? That's what they'll advertise. You could go from black to white to mixed race to light skin. Like, absolutely crazy the kind of things they promote to black people, man. Colorism is awful. But the funny thing about colorism is that I'm not even going to get into it. Fuck the colorism debate. We're not going to do colorism right now. But either way, great cover. Very arresting. Grabs your attention straight away. Probably doesn't really make any sense to the album concept or the album in general, right? But it's just a really good cover conceptually. I think it's complete opposite of what Cardi B did. I think Cardi B's album cover for Am I Drama was horrendous. Makes no relation to the album title, no relation to the content, no relation to her. It's just awful. I would have much preferred if she had like a very, you know, if you're not going to do an album cover that relates to the title, at least just do an album cover that's just a sick picture to kind of grab people's attention. I think this does a really good job. Imagine this as a vinyl, you know what I mean? Like, that look amazing. Imagine seeing this on the CD, you know, shelves if CDs were still around. So I really like the cover. I think the cover started off really well. And you guys to see a little detail there. He's got blue eyes, you know, bluish grayish eyes there as well. That looks fucking sick. So I really like that. That's the first thing I liked. And then the other first thing I liked as well when I played the album was Ninja. I'm sure some of you guys have heard of the memes around Ninja. I cannot wait for track 1 Ninja when Young Thug plays this live. When he goes on tour, or when he's able to play more live shows. I'm not sure if he can go on tour because of he's got very strict bail conditions. I think really strangely about Young Thug, one of his bail conditions, if I'm not mistaken, is that he can't hang around with any of his old friends. But in his bail conditions, he's allowed to hang out with Gunna. But since he's come out of jail, since he's been released, whatever, he's been on a one-man mission to remind everyone that Gunna's a snitch and he betrayed him. So it's weird because in court, he made it seem like he wanted to hang out with one Gunna and reconcile, and that was who he was going to be with all the time. But in actuality, you know, they don't really hang out with each other and he can't really be anyone else. But anyway, regardless, I can't wait until he goes out on tour or whatever, because Ninja is going to be a really interesting song to hear people perform or sing along to in a crowd because of the amount of flipping N-bombs that are dropped towards the end of the track. The amount of N-bombs at the end of the track will be so incredible to hear people spit as they're singing along to it in the crowd. It goes, nigga, I'm calling my ups, nigga. They better not play with me, nigga. I sleep with the K with me, nigga. Some bad shit lay with me, nigga. My kids, they straight, you nigga. I'm not fake, you nigga. Black diamonds today, I'm a nigga. I'm calling my ups, nigga. nigga. I'm calling my house, nigga. Honestly, I cannot wait to see all the TikToks, all the weird, uncomfortable moments, all the white people going shh every time that word comes up. It's gonna be so funny. It's gonna be so funny to see who trips up, who accidentally says it, you know, who doesn't say it, who's performative, all this nonsense. I cannot wait. It's gonna be so fucking entertaining. So that was a really good track. I really enjoyed that conceptually, and obviously the beats, the section as well is really fucking hard. The track with Ken Carson, surprisingly good, man. Not gonna lie, I didn't expect him to do a Ken Carson feature. That kind of came out the blue, but I really did enjoy the Ken Carson track. I thought the Cardi B track, that one track on this album, I think is better than most of the tracks that Cardi B's got on her own album. Not gonna fucking lie about that. The standout track, obviously, is Whoop-De-Doo. The way he's been able to take that, that's the phrase that he said in that Big Bang interview, Whoop-De-Doo, and he spun it like 7 times in different types of ways, turned it into a bit of a melody, was fucking phenomenal. Whoop-De-Doo track 6, definitely one of my favorites on there. Sad Spider, I really enjoyed as well. The track actually with T.I. is actually pretty decent, although I'm not the biggest fan of T.I. He's got a couple of songs with Mariah the Scientist on the album, so I assume he's back with her, which got me thinking in general about like how good it must be to be a rapper sometimes. You have no normal people consequences, you know? Like, rappers get away with so much cheating. They get away with so much shitty behavior to their girlfriends or wives or fiancés, right? It's not like they're doing this to like in general, you should treat all women the same anyway. Even if you're just gonna smash and dash, I think you should always be a gentleman across the board. So everyone, so most people have a lot of good things to say about you when you're not in a room, right? That's one of the best things that people don't really talk about a lot. To be an actual real gentleman, you want women to talk well about you when you're not around to other women. Like, oh no, that guy's a good dude. Like, it didn't work out between us and shit. I would have liked it to have worked out, but you know, life is life, it is. But that guy's a good dude. You want people to say that about you. So I think men, for the most part, I know I do anyway, you basically behave so that you have more options. You know, sometimes you're not even behaving because you want to behave. You're just behaving because you don't want to fuck up what you have, and you want to make sure that girls, you know, give you the time of day. But rappers and stuff, they don't have to do that at all. They don't have to behave well. They don't have to do anything. They can fuck up 1,000,000 times. They can cheat on their partners 100,000 times, and they always come back. Like, it must be a great life. And it's not even like they're doing this with, like, you know, let's say scallywags from ends. They're doing this with like Mariah the Scientist level girls. You know what I mean? It's not like some random things. You know what I mean? It's just like, it's interesting. It's interesting. But big up them, big up their union. That is so about. There's a track with Lil Baby on here called Pardon My Back, which in my opinion might be one of the best Lil Baby features I've heard in a while. Lil Baby's been on a weird run at the moment. I think I heard, who is it? I think I heard Richard Ashcroft. That's what I heard. Big up Richard Ashcroft, right? Richard Ashcroft, lead singer of The Verve, was actually on How Long Gone just today. And he made a good point about why sometimes artists find it hard to continue making great music. And I think his statement was something, to paraphrase him, he was saying something like, sometimes as an artist, when you come into the game young, you don't know what you have to, you don't know how much you have to say really, or how much you have to give artistically. Sometimes you might be unlucky that all you had to give was your debut album, or maybe your sophomore album. And then after that, you've kind of run dry. You don't have anything more to tap into because you kind of said it all. But then you might be super young still and you feel like you have to say more. But then you try to say more and the quality of the music isn't that great because it's not coming from a real place. You're forcing it, blah, 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 blah. So I'm wondering if maybe Lil Baby is suffering for the same thing. Maybe Lil Baby said what he said in those early mixtapes, those early tapes that we got from him, those early freestyles. He got to a certain point and there's just nothing more to say about his story. And, you know, but unfortunately in the industry, music-wise, you don't really get to retire, you know? You just have to keep grinding. The only person who kind of really has retired, I think, in them for what I can see in the modern times has been probably like Joe Budden. But he's also retired, you know, with the benefit of having this amazing podcast that he has to kind of fall back on. I think it's probably a bit different if you're just an artist, like a straight up artist, and you got nothing else to fall back on. So it becomes a little bit, you know, a little bit shaky. But still, I enjoyed this freestyle. I wonder if it had to do with the time away. maybe he recorded. I would like to know when it was recorded, but that was actually a really, really good feature there. There's a song here with YFN Lucy, which is weird because the whole reason why the YSL Rico went down was because of the beef between, you know, YSL and YFN, and the butting of heads between Thug and particularly Lucci. And if I'm not mistaken, people died, yeah, off of the back of this. People went to prison. So to see these two guys on an album, if you're one of the crash outs, if you're one of the goons, if you're one of the shooters who may have got in trouble, who may be in the afterlife, and you're seeing these guys linking up, you're going to be a bit perturbed. You're going to be a bit pissed off, really. But in the nature of, you know, in the interest of harmony and continuing on, not such a bad thing. So I guess it is what it is. There's a track called Walk Down featuring 21 Savage that is made me interested in 21 Savage again. I think 21 Savage did a really good job in terms of disappearing for a while. He hasn't been around in a long time, doesn't drop in a long time either. I think it's a good thing. Absence makes the heart grow fonder. So I think when he does end up dropping, which he said he will drop soon, when he ends up dropping again, I think people are going to be very energized and you know, excited for his new project or whatever he has coming up. So I really enjoyed that feature. I didn't the Travis Scott feature. I could do without it. Spider or Jeffrey, I could do without it. But one of my favorite tracks on there is track 13, which will end up being my song of the day at the end, which is called Revenge, featuring 1300 Saint and Lil Gotit. Like, they both spun and slid all over this shit. They both spun and slid all over this shit. It would have been nice to see, like, what's that guy? What's that kid called? Nine Vicious, the one that kind of, you know, looks up a lot. He treats Thug the way Thug used to treat Lil Wayne. He really idolizes Thug. But I think Nine Vicious has had some allegations on his name about being a alleged PDF or something. So I think that might have been the reason why Thug decided not to put him on the album. He doesn't want any controversy and shit. I don't know. But I would have liked to have heard him on there if like 1300 Saint was on there. It was good to hear Lil Gotit as well doing his thing. Money on Money, we've heard that already with Future. Not really a big fan of that one. And then obviously Miss My Dogs at the end. Which, you know, I'm not really for me, to be honest. But in general, I really did enjoy the album overall. If I had to give it a rating, I'd probably give it like a 7 out of 10, maybe a 7 out of 10. I think maybe like a high 6.5 out of 10. But one thing I was thinking about listening to this album, right? I was thinking to myself, like, did Young Thug fuck up with how he came out? With the fact that we never got a first day out freestyle for him, right? We never got a first day out freestyle. He didn't really drop a lot of music at all. He was going out of his way to besmirch. No, he's going out of his way to kind of, you know, put smut on Gunna's name because of the snitching thing. He was doing that even before he was out, right? He was calling people, because we heard about the phone calls to Little Baby and a few other people about Gunna being a snitch, right? We heard about them before. I think Academics is the one that leaked the fact that Thug was calling people, telling them, nah, Gunna snitched. I don't fuck with him anymore. He wasn't meant to do that. He wasn't meant to do yes, ma'am. That's fuck shit. So he was already on the campaign to kind of put smut on Gunna's name. And unfortunately for him, though, Gunna, although he didn't ever contest those allegations, because most likely they're true, he is a snitch because, you know, he said what he said. What he did instead was just focus on the music. He focused on the music. He just kept dropping. Imagine, do you remember that, what's it called? What was that song that he dropped when he came out? He dropped that song where it's got an amazing black and white video and he's wearing like a fucking ski mask, right? I think it's called Guns and Butter. I think it's Guns and Butter. That Guns and Butter freestyle, that was like his first day out. That was harder than hard, man. That addressed all the controversies, that addressed all the conversation, everything people wanted to hear. He kind of addressed it in that one particular track. Like Bread and Butter, not Guns and Butter, Bread and Butter. He absolutely killed it. And he just kept dropping more music. And you know what made me think about this whole situation? There's been a whole conversation around snitching, all this malarkey. The thing that Young Thug, I think, fucked up is that I don't think he understood that a lot of people really liked Young Thug because of his aura. Similar like Carti. I think the aura is incredibly important to artists like Thug and that. And I think you saw a little bit of Carti. Remember when Carti went on stream with Aiden Ross and it kind of went south? I think it was a good idea that he left because you probably don't want to, as much as it'll be good to hear from Carti to speak normally in an interview, I don't think fans actually want to hear him long form like that and see anything corny or like not cool about him because it'll make you not like the music. The reason why we kind of love Carti and we kind of hold him up as a really great artist, and we love the albums he comes with and the different looks and the aesthetics and the sounds, is partly because of how aloof, how kind of weird, how kind of, you know, out there he is. But the moment you kind of lower your guard and you become a bit more vulnerable, you start talking a bit more, it takes away from the aura. I honestly do think so. So I think Thug has kind of suffered a lot from that. Although I think he's more talented. Although I think he has a better range rapping, maybe a higher ceiling rapping. I think he suffered a lot because he lost a lot of that aura. He lost a lot of that cool factor about him when he started complaining about Gunna, coming out crying about all that sort of stuff, complaining, even though he was being vulnerable, even though he was like pouring his heart out, putting his heart on his sleeve. People don't want to see that. People view him, for lack of a better term, please forgive me for saying this, because it sounds very glazy, but people view him as a superhero. I think they view most musicians like a superhero. And I think once you kind of try to act normal, like a regular person, it kind of takes away from that magic and people don't believe a superhero anymore. And then it kind of goes away and then your music also doesn't hit the same. I think it works the same way where if a rapper who's known for like talking about scamming and shit gets indicted on some massive, you know, worldwide scamming thing that was meant to make him $1 billion, it's going to make his music hit way harder. Same thing happens when someone kills somebody, when somebody, you know, gets into a fight or whatever. It adds to their allure, it adds to their mystique, it adds to their brand, it adds to their artistry. And I think for Young Thug, it's done the opposite. All the crying and complaining about the snitching, all of the non-activity, it's really hampered him. But what it comes down to, my final point, what it comes down to is this. The most important thing, really, across the board, in any form of entertainment or art, is the final product. Just keep dropping. The yapping is one thing, explaining yourself, but the really important thing is to just keep dropping great stuff. If you keep dropping great stuff, all will be forgiven. No one really talks too much about the Gunna snitching stuff. Nobody really cares that much about how Gunna snitched and betrayed one of his closest friends and the person really responsible for kind of, you know, giving him that leg up, that platform to kind of go fucking superstar mode. No one really talks about that because Gunna just keeps dropping great music. And and as an aside, as a bonus, he also seems like he's changed his ways. Like he's almost learned a lesson from that trial that he went through. How crazy it must have been, how stressful it must have been. And he's changed everything about his life. He's kind of lost half of his body weight. He looks incredible. He sounds incredible on records. He's doing all these great collaboration and brand deals. Recently, he dropped he's got like a little line he does with Under Armour and shit. So I think people gravitate towards that sort of stuff. They see you trying to make positive changes, but most importantly, you're dropping some of the best music you've ever dropped in your career. And I think Thug really made a mistake. He should have dropped some of this stuff in the beginning. He should have gave us a First Day Out record. Even that First Day Out record, just in you know, contained him just going at Gunna. He should have dropped it. He should have given us something. But the fact that he didn't give us anything is what maybe lost a bit of his cool, made people turn their opinion on him or change their opinion on him. But this was a reminder that he's still a really good artist. He can still put out great music. Is it as good as some of the other stuff in the past? I don't think so. But I still think it's a solid 7 out of 10. And considering all the crazy shit he was saying, the mental place he's been in, I wasn't expecting that. So he did surprise me. I really enjoyed it. I really, really, really enjoyed it. Talking about things I don't enjoy. Oh, Keir Starmer, the UK government have announced plans for a new digital ID scheme to be rolled out across the UK. They announced it the other day, randomly, boom, they dropped out of the blue, and now everyone's scrambling to make sense of it. Everyone's scrambling to work out their arguments why they hate it. Big Brother, control, all this malarkey, government, you know, prying eyes once again. But now we're going to be required to carry around these ID cards and stuff as a way for the government to stem the tide of illegal migration. That's what they're telling us. They're telling us the reason why we need these ID cards is because there's too much illegal migration. So there's too many illegal immigration, and it's now affecting the jobs market. And they want to take away the option for employers to hire people without papers. So they're introducing this system where UK residents have to go out their way to get an ID. I don't know. None of it makes any sense. But this is the official blurb This is the official blur from the gov.uk site, right? It says as follows. A new digital ID scheme will help combat illegal working while making it easier for the vast majority of people to use vital government services. Digital ID will be mandatory for right to work checks by the end of the parliament. The scheme will be available to all UK citizens, legal residents, saving time by ending the need for complicated identity checks, which often rely on copies of paper records. By the way, identity checks aren't complicated. They're not complicated at all. They're lying. They're not complicated at all. You just type it up and check. Similar goes when you're doing a fucking tenant check, or if a landlord wants to do like a tenancy check on you. It's not that difficult whatsoever. It continues. Instead, the rollout will in time make it simpler. Apply for services like driving licenses, childcare and welfare, while streamlining access to tax records. A new digital ID will be held on people's phones, just as millions use the NHS app on contactless mobile payment. There'll be no requirement for individuals to carry their ID card. They'll be asked to produce it, but the digital ID cards will be mandatory as a means of proving your right to work. So basically, you have to have it, unless you're just not going to work. This will stop those with no right to be here from being able to find work, curbing their prospects of earning money, one of the key pull factors for people who have come to the UK illegally. It will send a clear message that if you come here illegally, you will not be able to work, deterring people from making these dangerous journeys. The initiative builds on the government's crackdown on illegal working and its mission to control the borders as part of the plan for change. Under this government, illegal working arrests have soared by 50%. Jesus Christ. New legislation is being brought forward to stop illegal working in the gig economy. The proposals also follow the government's success in deporting the first illegal migrants under the UK-France returns deal last week. Keir Starmer, our Prime Minister, said, I know working people are worried that the level of illegal immigration to this country. No, we're not. A secure border and controlled migration, are reasonable demands, and the government is listening and delivering. Digital ID is an enormous opportunity for the UK. It will make it tougher to work illegally in this country, making our borders more secure, and it will also offer ordinary citizens countless benefits, like being able to prove our identity to access key services swiftly, rather than hunting around for any old utility bill. We are doing the hard graft to deliver a fairer Britain for those who want to see change, not division. That is at the heart of our plan for change, which is focused on delivering those who want to see their communities thrive again. Make the UK thrive again. So, a whole bunch of bullshit, really. I think in general, it doesn't really address the problem they want to address. Instead of just trying to secure the borders or do something to stop the tide of illegal immigration in this country, they just want to issue out ID cards because it's the easy thing to do. The issuing out the ID cards also prevents them from looking like, nationalist by, enforcing more the rule of law or whatever on the borders, maybe getting more police there, deploying the army, whatever they want to do. They don't want to do that because they don't like the optics. Because the optics of increasing the amount of, security on the borders, maybe getting different types of police or whatever, maybe increasing the punishments. So if you come in, whatever that needs to be done, they don't want to do that because it will make them look a certain way. So let's just do the whole ID card thing. And the really annoying thing about it is that this ID system as well would have been somewhat beneficial when we were in the EU. When we were in the EU, it would have made some sense if they decided to introduce these ID cards. Because I think in the EU, if I'm not mistaken, the ID cards that they use, they basically can use them as a substitute for a passport. Like if you live in the EU, you don't even need to carry your ID with your passport with you to go to different countries. You can use your ID card as a way to travel to other neighboring EU nations and shit. But what would the ID card do in terms of travel in the UK? Probably won't do that much. So it's really annoying that this card that it's going to be introduced and rolled out soon, that could have maybe opened up the doors for more of us to kind of travel into Europe, isn't even going to help because we're not in Europe anymore. So that whole advantage is fucking gone. That whole advantage is fucking gone. And more acts. We've already got so many different ways for people to prove that you got a right to work here, from like IDs, from like passports and NI numbers and birth certificates, all that malarkey. But they would rather you not have all those things and just store it all on one app on your phone Not even give you a physical one. You have to have it on your phone and stuff. It's just, I don't know. It's just all a bit of a bullshit, really. It's all a bit of a bullshit, but unfortunately, we have no little option to this. It's just going to get rolled out. It's probably just going to get rolled out, and we just have to like sit down and kind of suck it up. We have to just sit down and suck it all up. We have to just sit down and suck it all up. But there are some people who are against it. At the moment, there's a petition going on the government petition site. It says, don't introduce digital ID cards. We demand, let's actually see the blurb. What's the blurb say? The blurb says, we demand that the UK government immediately commits to not introducing digital ID cards. There are reports that this is being looked at. We think that it would be a step towards mass surveillance and digital control, and that no one should be forced to register with a state-controlled ID systems, which I agree, 100%. We oppose the creation of any national ID. ID cards were scrapped in 2010, in our view, for a good reason. And so far, as you can see with the ticker climbing, there's 1.4 million signatures on this. 1.4 million signatures and climbing. So a lot of people are against it, but most likely, when it comes to the UK, no one listens to petitions and shit. No one listens to protests. They're just going to do what they're going to do, and we're just going to have to learn to suck it up. So, you know, good initiative, good way to try to combat this and to try and shout for this and oppose it and whatnot. But unfortunately, I don't think it's going to have any effect. We're just going to have to suck it up. We're just going to have to fucking suck it up. That's the unfortunate nature of this type of shit. That's the unfortunate nature of this type of shit. Let's actually go on talking about sucking it up. Big up blood clot Shane Gillis. Big up blood clot Shane Gillis. Shane Gillis decided to let everybody know exactly why he decided to not go and perform at the Riyadh Comedy Festival, which is happening, I think, this weekend or next week sometime. Anyway, the next couple of days, Riyadh Comedy Festival in Saudi Arabia is kicking off, and it's caused a bit of a controversy within the stand-up community scene, because obviously most of you guys know about the human rights atrocities that Saudi Arabia government kind of has done over the years, and a lot of people are essentially coming to the conclusion that a lot of these initiatives that Saudi Arabia are doing, such as comedy festivals and other types of festivals as well, like DJs and stuff and music and shit, is mostly an attempt for them to whitewash some of their human rights violations and to make Saudi Arabia a more appealing destination for foreigners to go to, and to not kind of highlight any of the bad things that may have done. So essentially they're using comedians as a way to kind of push that message out there, which in turn turns comedians into being propagandist tools. But a lot of stand-up comedians don't see it that way. Some of them obviously that have agreed to go to the Riyadh Comedy Festival are just caring about the bag, which has kind of shocked and appalled a lot of comedy fans. Not me myself, but some comedy fans have been shocked by just how money hungry, money motivated a lot of comedians are, especially some of the more richer ones, or the ones who you would imagine are more well off and could afford to maybe say no. But some of them have said yes. So it'll be interesting to hear how Shane Gillis makes sense of the reason why he said no. Let's play this clip of Shane Gillis telling us about why he decided not to perform at the Riyadh Comedy Festival.
What? Where? Why?
Saudi Arabia and UAE or Dubai.
Dubai?
I think I'm gonna pass.
Yeah. For the troops? Is it for the troops?
Not for the troops.
What?
It's for the Saudis.
For the Saudi princes?
Yeah, and everyone's like, yeah, you should do it. Everyone's doing it. It's like, for Saudis?
Yeah.
Weren't those the 9/11 guys?
Riyadh Comedy Festival, and here we go. Andrew Schultz, Aziz Ansari, Bill, Jim Jeffries, Jimmy Carr, Joe Coy, Kevin Hart. Sam. We got people. People have been going, oh, how dare you go over there after? Oh, they killed a reporter. That was the big one. There's been a reporter who they killed. One reporter was killed by the government. Unfortunate, but not a fucking hill that I'm going to die on.
We did get an offer to play.
I think I'm going to go.
You're going to go?
Well, I'm only doing 2 days.
Where?
I'm going in and out.
Saudi Arabia.
Just to get that
I would
paycheck.
do that.
Yeah.
Why not?
I'm doing it. 2 days.
I wouldn't do gay material there.
Yeah.
At all.
Weird.
Sam and I are both doing gigs in Saudi Arabia, so Sam's days are numbered. So I'll be there, and I will join in with the Saudi people if it means I get out of there alive.
But at the same time, almost no entertainment money comes from a good place.
No,
but
it's like, do you want to take it from them, or do you want to take it from someone who's probably assaulted, millions of people.
I don't really have strong feelings about the Saudi Arabia Comedy Festival. I do get the fact that they perpetrated 9/11.
I'm not doing it.
That is good. I admire that.
Then they doubled the bag, and I was like,
sorry, just go on Google, Big. Who really did 9/11?
I'm not doing it.
Just be like, okay, fine, never mind.
Yeah.
They doubled the bag, the princes?
It was a significant bag.
What?
Yeah, but I'd already said no. I took a principled stand.
Yo, big up Shane Gillis, man. Big up Shane Gillis, because as I said before, this particular pod, I am a big hater of like hypothetical questions, hypothetical debates. Would you do X, Y, and Z for like £100? Would you do X, Y, and Z for $1 million? Right? I hate those debates because those debates don't really tell you. They don't really like illustrate how hard it would be to reject some of those insane proposals because the money's not right in front of you. Everyone's got a principled, moral, rational, logical stance, sensible, common sense stance when they're just, doing the hypothetical while they're and after somewhere, sniffing, cracking standard of lines. But it's completely different if somebody's actually got that money in a bag, in a briefcase right in front of you and telling you, hey, will you perform for my country? Will you perform for my government for an hour if I give you $1.5 million in cash? Will you do it? And you have to sit there, look at it, and really then come to a decision. And most people wouldn't come to that principled decision. They would just take the bag because why the fuck not? The thing that really surprised me, and let's not even talk about the, human rights violations and stuff, whatever, right? You know what's really surprising when it comes to comedians and this whole Riyadh Comedy Festival thing? The most surprising thing for me is just how unable, and I think I've said it before in the past, right? But I feel like stand-up comedians are similar to like DJs in their willingness to play anywhere if somebody pays them. Like, you could get a DJ. I think you could get a DJ to play in your living room if you send him a DM and send him enough money. If you send a DJ that you liked, if you had the money and you want a DJ to just play in your living room or to play outside in your hallway while you're taking a shower on some Kai Sinat shit, if you want to do that, I think you could get any DJ to play for you if you offer them enough money in your fucking living room. I swear down. They don't have any qualms about it as long as they get in the fucking bag. Which puts them in a weird position because it means it opens them up to like loads of crazy offers, opens them up to doing some gigs in some dicey countries and being used as propaganda tools and shit. But the thing that I could never work out when it comes to that sort of stuff is how is it that it's always the people that have the most that are unable to turn these down? Because I had that feeling during the pandemic, right? During the pandemic, at the height of it, when we were all panicking, especially me, about everyone dying left and right, and then you were seeing all these stand-up comedians, all these DJs flying off to third world countries where the COVID lockdown restrictions were a bit more loose or they didn't have any whatsoever. And obviously their governments were welcoming all this tourism because it gave them a spike in tourism, but it kind of led to the deaths of many people too. But you saw these people flying all over the world to go and play at these third world countries, and it kind of made you think, like, how is it that all these DJs who are the most highly paid can't afford to just not play for a couple of months? Why is it that they have to do this, right? That's what I remember thinking, like, how, like, I get the money offer, I get it, but why is it all these, the ones who are on the top 10 most played, no, the ones that are on the top of the list when it comes to DJ Mag list and all this malarkey, they're the ones who are unable to turn down the money. And because in my head, I thought to myself, I could kind of understand if it was like an up-and-coming DJ or somebody like on a middle tier who got an offer to play for the Saudi government and then just couldn't turn it down, because maybe the money the Saudi government would offer you or as a gig, as a fee for your booking, that might be money that can kind of hold you down for a couple of years, which would then allow you to do your art for a couple more years, which then maybe allow you to maybe stumble on a hit, stumble on a great gig, and then suddenly it changes your whole life. So that money that they give you can really, really change the direction and the course of your life. But I really don't think the money that these comedians get offered, even the crazy bag that Shane got, like, what's it gonna do for them? Like, Tim Dillon was willing to like damage or destroy his reputation forever for like 375,000. And in the end, Tim didn't go or wasn't booked to the comedy, or he's got his offer, pulled away or rescinded because he said some dicey stuff on his podcast about the Saudi government. But Tim Dillon was prepared to just, destroy his reputation for $375,000, sorry. And I'm just sat there thinking, like, Tim Dillon's pretty well off, I'd imagine. He's probably doing quite well for himself. I don't think 375,000 really changes anything for his day-to-day life. Not really. It might afford him a couple more Ralph Lauren polo tops, a few more fucking, Balenciaga fucking sunglasses, but I really don't think it changes drastically his life. He could probably make that, from 6 months of podcasting or maybe less. So it really does, confuse me why the people at the top who have everything, they have the fucking Rogan connection, they play at the Mothership, they play at the Comedy Store, they have Netflix specials, Hulu, HBO, all this stuff, they have everything. And they're the ones who are like fighting. They're like instantly flying over to Saudi Arabia to go and perform. When really and truly those positions should maybe be given to like the middle tier people. But then again, the Saudi government don't want to book the middle tier people because they want to put on a hell of a show. They want to attract more tourists. They want to make it a bonanza type of affair. So they're going to book all the biggest artists to come down to kind of, to legitimize what they do, make it in a bit of an attractive pool, etc., etc., etc. But I definitely will die on the hill that the only people, the only artists, the only the only trade of people who are more money hungry than DJs are stand-up comedians. The only people who will never turn down a check that to rival DJs is stand-up comedians. Because I thought DJs were the highest. They're the ones that just have no principles, no more, nothing. It's just wherever someone pays them, they'll go play. Like I'd imagine there's a large chunk of DJs nowadays. If fucking Francisco Franco, if fucking Hitler was still alive now and they got booked to play, I think there's a bunch of DJs now that would definitely go and play for fucking the Nazi party if they were still around now. They would definitely go and play a private gig for fucking Hitler if he was around now. Like, they don't give a fuck. So I just find it odd. I just really do. They get the principles and morals like, Jesus Christ, man. Like, don't you motherfuckers have enough money? Is that a thing? Can you ever have enough money? I guess maybe not. Maybe you can't ever have enough money. I don't know. But I just think you must get like, you would imagine, right? Even if you're pursuing something in the arts, part of your pursuing a career in the arts, I'd imagine, is because you cannot or you're unable to work a conventional job. But then even if you're pursuing something in the arts, in the beginning, you always have somebody to answer for. You always have someone to answer to, sorry. Surely I would imagine part of like being on the grind and pursuing something and working hard is to get to a point where you don't have to answer to too many people anymore. You might have to answer to some, but not as many as did in the beginning or in the middle of your career. You want to get to the point where you're the one dictating terms, right? You want to get to that kind of point. And that's the real goal, really, after a certain point. The money doesn't really do anything. You probably had enough Ferraris. You probably went on enough fucking trips to fucking Santorini. There's probably not enough, you've done it all, Cabo, whatever. But I guess with some people, that's not really the game. Maybe some people, the money is the most important thing and other parts of the job don't really fucking matter. But I've just found that stuff interesting to kind of observe, because as you can see from the website, when you go on the Riyadh Comedy Festival website, like, all the people performing are people that you would say are probably good, financially, you'd imagine. Even career-wise, you say they're probably doing good for themselves. Jeff Ross and Friends, Dave Chappelle, Gabriel Iglesias, who else I recognize here? Maybe Jessica Kirsten, not so much, because she's like, I'd say a bit, also underground, but she's coming up. Aziz Ansari, Kevin Hart, for fuck's sake. Like, these are people how you'd assume have, like, a decent sized bank account, a healthy one. But again, they seem unable to turn down anything. They just go. And I guess it is what it is. I guess it is what it is. Talking about it is what it is. Can you talk a little bit about Zion Williamson and his incredible, out of the blue, crazy fucking weight loss? For the longest time, I feel like for maybe more than 5 years, I've seen a bunch of people on fucking NBA Twitter clowning Zion for his inability to be fit, to be healthy, to be ready to play, to not be injured. and just his unwillingness to take his basketball seriously. He's been in the media a lot more recently, or in the news, because of his weird proclivity or tendency to go for very cosmetically enhanced women. He seems to have taste in women that, you know, you would only say, the only way to describe Zion's taste for women, the only way to describe Zion's taste for women, not women, would be to say that his taste in women clearly illustrates how much porn he watches, if that makes any sense. I think Zion Williamson's taste in women is a clear one-to-one, you know, relation or whatever. You can see a clear line between his taste and the amount of porn he must consume, especially the type of some certain style. He likes a particular version of a woman. That's all you saw. And it's really sad because Zion went viral on social because of all these crazy high school, college fucking dunks and whatever else plays that he was doing while he was playing basketball in college and shit. Crazy. He has his highlight reel. His college highlight reel might be the only one that kind of compares to like LeBron's one when he was coming up. His highlight reel was crazy good, and everyone expected great things from him. I think he initially signed a deal that was like $40 million or something like that. Crazy, a rookie deal if I'm not mistaken, right? Straight in, $40 million, 20 or 25 of it was already guaranteed. Like crazy amount of money for a kid just coming out straight from college, right? And maybe that money corrupted him. Maybe it kind of made him lazy, unmotivated. I don't know why. But for some reason, you know, he was fat for a long time and he wasn't really ever getting into shape. He was always like, I think, you know, maybe over 300 pounds, which is, you know, for his height and weight, he should always be, I'd assume, somewhat under 270, 280. So being 290 plus pounds was never a good thing. And, you know, he never seemed to be able to get away with it or like make it work or figure it out. And then, of course, the outside life started to take a bit of, you know, toll on him as well. And it kind of seemed like he was going to get to a point where he's never going to fulfill his potential. Well, then out of the blue, he just came back and now he's debuting with these pictures and he looks in incredible shape. It looks like he's lost a bunch of weight. Not too sure if he's lost it through Ozempic only. I'm going to say maybe it was, but it could have just been him just locking in for the last few months and deciding, you know what, let me take my career seriously. But unfortunately, he hasn't been met with the greatest response. People online have been kind of clowning him because essentially people are like, what, it's taken you 7 years to wake up and finally realize that you should be taking your career seriously. And so people aren't too happy that he's only realized to do it now. And they're kind of, you know, semi-clowning him for it. But I think he looks great. I can't wait to see how he performs. I'm a bit worried that he's not going to perform that well because sometimes when you lose this amount of weight, it can have maybe adverse effects on the way you play. And as I'll play later on, there's a clip from Cameron actually. Cameron makes a good point. Big up Cameron, one of my favorite rappers forever. He makes a fucking great point of saying that maybe the weight, the extra weight, the, you know, degenerate fucking lifestyle he was living, maybe that kind of contribute to how great he was. You know, the flashes of brilliance that we saw from him. And maybe if you take that away from him and, you know, he becomes a bit more of a clean living person, who's to say that magic will still be there, you know? So that was a really good point that he made. But it's kind of sad that a lot of people aren't really giving him the props and the flowers he deserves for the weight loss. But I also understand some NBA fans are like, look, man, yeah, you gave us hell for 7 years, not taking your career seriously, kind of pissing all up against the wall, spitting in your fans' faces as well, but not performing that well, getting injured a bunch. And now because you suddenly decided to do the bare minimum, which is being shaped, you know, to play the sport that you're fucking paid very handsomely for, you're now just, you know, hoping for a pat on the back. People are like, nah, no pats on the back for you. But I'd love to know how he did it. Was it a combination of Ozempic and working out? Was it pure working out? I'd love to know how he went from how big he was to how he is now, because as you can see there from that picture, 2024, he looks a little bit like me. In 2024, he looks a little bit like me. And then suddenly in 2025, he's kind of lost all of it in his face, especially in his face. You can see the amount of fucking weight he's lost in his face. He looks fucking incredibly more fitter, leaner. You would imagine he's always going to be explosive and have that athleticism because he's just got, you know, great genetics and shit and fast twitch five muscles. Despite even having knock knees and stuff, he still does freakishly athletic things. So I think he'll always be great in that regard. But he does look really in good nick, to be fair, in terms of his build and everything else overall. So that's really great to see. Although he does look weirdly, you know, usually when people lose weight when they're fat to skinny, like he does look older now that he's, you know, maybe that's the effect of Ozempic, or maybe it's just a goatee, because he's not that old, is he? I think he might be like 24 or something, right? How old is Zion Williamson? Zion age. How old is he? He's 25, yeah. So it's only 25. So I think maybe it's the goatee. Maybe the goatee's fucking him up. Maybe the reality is that no 25-year-old should have that kind of trim. That kind of beard trim is a little bit too old for his age, you know? Maybe he should have like a little R&B beard or something, or a mustache, but he shouldn't probably have a full goatee. I think having a full goatee for the 25-year-old is a bit crazy. But still, he looks really good. He's in good shape there. But then if you're wondering why he decided to finally lock in, it wasn't because he wants to take his basketball seriously and he wants to recommit himself and become one of the greatest and go down as a legend. Nah, this girl here from Bleachers Report, she breaks down exactly why Zion got himself fit and skinny again. It has nothing to do with being great. It has everything to do with money, essentially.
So much talk about Zion's body, but did you know that his NBA contract literally depends on how much he weighs? Here's the deal. After missing the entire 2021-22 season, Zion signed a 5-year maximum extension with the Pelicans. But because of concerns about his health and conditioning, it wasn't a typical max contract. The first 2 years were fully guaranteed. If he'd met weight expectations and played a certain amount of games in his second year, which was last year, the remaining 3 years would be fully guaranteed too. But he was only able to play 30 games, which triggered the clause stripping the guarantees on the last 3 years of the deal. Now, each season he has to hit certain checkpoints to get the next season guaranteed.
So basically, that's the only reason why he lost his weight. Because that guarantee was only for the first part of the contract. The second part of the, which was a smart way to play it, by the way. A very smart way to play it from that team. To have the 45 or the $40 million contract split in two. The guaranteed was obviously to make him sign, I'd imagine, right? You make the first half guaranteed so that he signs for your team. But you make the second half not guaranteed so that he keeps up his end of the bargain. But so then he has to wait. I think he has to weigh himself like 6 times in a year. Crazy things for someone just to do the bare minimum. But they have to put that in writing because, you know, the signs were there that he could be a little bit of a muncher.
First is the weight clause. 6 times a season, he has to step on a scale and prove that his weight plus body fat percentage isn't over 295. Pass all 6, 20% of his salary for next season becomes guaranteed. Then there's the games played, which was his problem last season. Play 41 games, 40% more becomes guaranteed. 51 games, an additional 20%. Wow. 61 games, final 20% locks in. Hit all of those, and the entire next season is guaranteed. Think of it like this. He hits all his goals this season, next season's salary is fully locked in. But if he missed the weight goal or too many games, not only would he be making less money, but the Pelicans could literally cut him and owe him little to nothing. So yeah, when people say Zion looks slimmer, it's not just about the basketball. Millions of dollars are literally at stake. Hopefully he balls out this season and gets himself paid.
So that's why Zion decided to get healthy. That's why Zion's had to lose all that weight. Not because he wants to be a great, but he just wants the money, man. Which again, a great motivator, but Jesus Christ, man, he could have been one of the greats. But really, he's gonna do whatever it requires to ensure he has the money to, you would imagine, spend the money on the things that he likes to do. And we know what he likes to do, right? We know what he likes to do. So I guess that's a motivator, that's a motivator. But what I did really like, what I did really enjoy was Cameron, one of my favorite rappers of all time, his interpretation of what happened and why it might not be the greatest thing for Zion to lose all the weight that he did. Big up Cameron, big up Mace, big up Treasure from It Is What It Is. A really good review and summation of what he thinks went down with Zion and why it might not be a good thing.
So sometimes you got a nigga doing too much, not saying he shouldn't be in shape, but now what if he don't play the same? Maybe he needed to drink that Coors after the game, that Heineken, you know, that Bud Light, whatever he was drinking after the game, because that's what keep him on his D. I'll say this, you know, I used to give this crackhead money.
I can't hide my faces for the life of me.
You don't have to step. It's all good,
What would you give the money for?
Well, murder, you know, we cool with a lot of crackheads growing up, so it's a different. You don't know a crackhead that you cool with?
Mm-mm.
Nah.
I don't think I've ever met a crack, or maybe I wouldn't know.
Nah, you got mad crackheads where we come from, and they mad cool. And they got a lot of knowledge too, and they help move TVs and air conditioners and all type of shit.
Some of the crackers we have in my area, they're the ones who get sent on jobs, get sent on fucking runs. So they'll go to like Marks and Spencer's, they'll go to North Face, they'll go to JD Sports, they'll go to all these different stores and steal stuff and then sell it. Usually they run it up around Christmas time. They'll run it up. They'll go and sell mad shit. But it's kind of crazy. It's kind of crazy because they'll come into barbershops and shit and just pull out some stuff out of their trousers, like with tags, like a full tracksuit here, £20 or whatever. Some crazy stuff, fragrances, loads of fucking things. That's what they kind of get used for in here. And I guess it's a mutually beneficial relationship, don't get me wrong. But it's pretty funny to see them just walking down the street with like tons of fucking legit stuff that they kind of just robbed from the store just a few minutes earlier.
They mad cool, you know what I'm saying? But I got this crackhead that nigga was mad funny, man. He used to have the signs and shit. Yo, what's the best city?
The best city to meet? Miami.
His sign said generosity. Gave him $15 for that. I like that. Generosity. We got some creative niggas out there. That's what I'm trying to tell you. Generosity.
That was a good one.
What's the best nation?
Donation.
See, Murder, I'm trying to quit stat. That's what I'm saying. I give niggas a little $7, $8, whatever I got there behind that shit. You know what I'm saying? That nigga had the one sign. I gave him $25 behind the sign. Nigga had the sign. He said, "Yo, I'm not homeless. I need money for kung fu lessons. Ninjas stole my family." Nigga, 25. Ninjas stole your family. I need money for kung fu lessons. Take the 25, nigga. The more the story is, he cleaned himself up, and he wasn't that funny. And the jokes he was telling me, I wouldn't give him $1 for. Son, just got whacked. They was trash. But hey, he was clean. Jokes fell off, but he was clean. When he had them joints funny up since it's hilarious. I can't pay for the clean you, but I respect it. You don't know what you're getting with Luka and Zion. So go ahead and try and clean them up and make them skinny. You will not get the best city is generosity. if that's what you want. Hopefully it'll work out. That's all I gotta say.
Yeah, hopefully it'll work out. Hopefully it will work out. I'm rooting for Zion. I really want him to kind of fulfill his potential. He looks in really great shape. Hopefully it will sort out for him. But I did remember seeing this commentary that I think it might have been Joe Barton, right? He talks a lot of shit, but I think there was a comment by Joe Barton. Who was it about? It was some footballer. I forgot who it was, but essentially this footballer was getting injured quite often, and Joe Barton made a comment that allegedly they have found a link between footballers who get veneers and injuries like increasing. So there's something about footballers when they go to Turkey, Colombia, parts of London, whatever, to get their teeth done, right? To get those fucking veneers that everyone likes, so you can look like a contestant from Love Island and shit. Supposedly, when you get those veneers done, it does something to your bite and to your chin or to your whatever that kind of affects the way you chew. That then has a downstream effect and affects how your neck moves, the muscles that connect to your shoulders, whatever. That then leads to your legs and shit somehow. I don't know what it is. Don't ask me what the science is behind it, but there's some sort of thinking that the veneers increase in professional football has led to a lot of these muscular injuries in footballers as well. Like they could see a direct correlation between it. So can you imagine if there's some like weird thing that happens to Zion when he lost all this weight? That maybe having all that weight is what gave him that extra burst and pop and aggression and pace and power, and then suddenly you lose the weight and you've lost a little bit of your game. You know, you lost a little bit, almost similar to like Lil Wayne when he kind of stopped drinking lean. And it was like, it wasn't the same, you know? He had to kind of get back on that fucking purple stuff to give us a music that we all kind of knew and loved, because he kind of added a little bit to the stuff that he was making. But either way, prayers and thoughts, and hopefully he figures it out. Big up Zion, great to see him at least trying. Even if it's 7 years later, even if it's 7 years late, at least he's made the change. I don't think there's ever a time limit to making a change. I think especially as humans, we inherently are very hard to change once we're set in our ways. The fact that he has changed, I think should be commended. I think should be fucking commended. Big up Zion Williamson. Big up Zion Williamson. And there's a quote here actually from him talking at the press conference earlier about greatness. Now, I don't believe it is because I think he's only doing it for the money to ensure that he has enough coins to pay for his female company. But even if I'm wrong and what he's saying here is true, I'm all for it. I'm rooting for him. Big up Zion Williamson.
Talent is more of a natural thing. Like, you can look at somebody and go, okay, they're really talented. Greatness is every day. Greatness is when you don't want to do it, when you want to do it. If you're facing crazy adversity, good, bad, no matter what's going on, greatness, you do it every day. You show up every day and you make it happen every day.
Yeah, big up Zion. Big up Zion. Big up Blood Clot Zion. Talking about one great person, going from one great person to one not so great person, Tai Lopez is in big trouble. Tai Lopez, oopsie doopsie whoopsie whoopsie. Courtesy of the New York Post. Ex-employees at Radio Shack Pier 1 Imports blew the whistle on owner's Ponzi scheme. So Tai Lopez, I'm sure some of you guys know who Tai Lopez is. He went viral on social media many years ago for filming these videos in his garage, surrounded by books. In the garage, he also has a Lamborghini or Ferrari, one of those supercars, and he has like a garage full of, you know, cars with fucking, you know, books inside it. And he did the whole thing of like, oh, the way I got these cars is by reading all these books, by being an entrepreneur. And obviously, you know, if you're a young kid, you'll see that and you'll think, oh my God, this guy's got all the answers. And then you'll funnel you through to his fucking group, his Telegram, his Discord. You pay a certain amount a month. I think it was like £50 a month. And he made a crazy bag. He made a crazy bag doing that sort of stuff early on. Very, very early on, that kind of stuff. And he's always been regarded as a bit of a scam artist, right? A little bit of a charlatan. But weirdly enough, you know what it is about Tai Lopez, right? Very early in Tai Lopez's career, I stumbled across him. And I'm not going to lie, I liked what I heard. And when he first showed up, when I first saw that video, when I first saw a video with all the cars and the books and stuff, that actually got me, I think, interested, around the same time that I was listening to people like Tim Ferriss and shit. That actually got me interested in reading like self-help books and business books and motivational books and shit because of Tim Ferriss and Tai Lopez. Because Tai Lopez has this really good, I think it's a really good book recommendation list on his site where he kind of recommends all these great books you can read, right? And I legitimately think this is how I started my book collection anyway, or my library in general. I think I've read a lot of these books on this list. You know, Evolution and Psychology by David Buss, who he talks about a lot here. Managing Oneself by Peter Drucker. Civilization and Disconsent by Sigmund Freud. Total Recall autobiography by Arnold Schwarzenegger is fucking incredible. The Einstein book is really good. Richard Dawkins, Selfish Gene. One of the greatest books on history, Lessons of History by Will and Ariel Duran. This is a really good book as well. This autobiography right here. When I Stop Talking, You'll Know. You Know I'm Dead by Jerry Weintraub. The One Thing, Gary Kellner. So many great books on here. I legitimately got so many good recommendations of books from here that I was able to kind of, you know, because when it comes to book recommendations, you get one from one person, you read a couple of books from here, and that can kind of be like the jumping off point to see other art, to see other authors, other people that you might want to cover and read about and shit. But it all comes from reading just one or two books and it kind of goes on from there. So I got really good stuff from it. But when it came to the other shit in terms of being a part of his mastermind group and all this malarkey, I kind of put that to one side. But when it comes to the book sort of stuff, I kind of felt he was really ahead of his time with some of these recommendations and the importance of reading, the importance of learning lessons from the past and maybe not trying to make the same mistakes and stuff and learning people that have made those mistakes and applying it to things that you're doing. You know, universal stories, universal truths, blah, 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 blah. So it's really surprising in a way, maybe in a way, that he ended up being essentially a proper fraud artist, because this is like they're alleging he made over like $112 million in this Ponzi scheme. Crazy. And the really weird thing about it is that if you listen to Tai Lopez, he's got this stuff that he does where he'll go and meet up these like really old billionaires and moguls and fucking titans of industry or business and stuff in America. he'll go and link up with them, and you do a video interview and sit down with them and shit. And I'm always surprised. I think it's the same sort of thing with Brendan Schaub. It surprises me when people do that. So he goes out of his way to seek out some of these big people in business, entrepreneurs and stuff, right? For them to kind of mentor him, give him kind of knowledge, and he will kind of record some of that content, share it with us, the public, put some of it behind the paywall. But essentially, you know, I'm interviewing all these big business people to kind of give back to my community and shit. So I've always wondered, like with someone like a Tai Lopez, how do you do that, but then end up being a scammer? Like, what did you see? If you went to I don't know, if you go to fucking Bill Gates's mansion and he talks to you about business and shit, and then you kind of get inspired by that to do whatever you want to do, why does the lesson he takes away from that, I'm going to scam? I wonder how that happens. How do you go from interviewing people who are legit business people, who've made money in a legit way without scamming people? Maybe they fuck people over, but they haven't scammed people. And then you decide to go and start a business that just scams and exploits your customers and your fans. I've never really worked that sort of stuff out. It's very odd. And I think it relates to the Brendan Schaub thing, because it's like, you know, you look up to Rogan. If you're Brendan Schaub, you love him. He's your North Star. But then you don't take the best parts of him. You kind of just like take the parts that you want, but then the other parts in terms of his personality and stuff, you kind of just ignore, and you act like a dick, even though, you know, he doesn't act like a dick. Like, how come you're more of a dick than him when he's richer than you? You know? Makes no sense. But anyway, who cares? Let's read the article. The article says a pair of flashy e-commerce entrepreneurs who bought bankrupt retailers like Pier 1 Imports, Radio Shack, and Models Sports Goods were accused by feds this week of running a Ponzi scheme, and the clampdown came after ex-employees blew the whistle on them and what the posters learned. So essentially, if you're not familiar with Tai Lopez law, Tai Lopez decided to buy a lot of these, like, I guess you'd term them to be like penny stock companies, right? That were going bust. And the idea behind it was that he wanted to relaunch them as e-commerce platforms. And from what I remember, what I saw from afar, he was trying really, he was hoping that this plan would legitimize him in the eyes of other business people. Because I guess other people just saw him as a person who kind of just sold motivation, sold fucking access to a fucking Discord or WhatsApp group, but he wasn't really a real businessman, entrepreneur guy. So this venture was his attempt to, I guess, for lack of a better term, legitimize himself. So it's funny that the thing that he wanted to do that would make him a legit businessman, he ended up running the scam, which has now exposed him to even more people. Because before he was known, don't get me wrong, he went viral, but now he's going to be even more viral for the worst thing possible. It's fucking crazy. The duo, it says here, courtesy of the New York Post, built hundreds of investors out of $112 million through Miami-based real retail e-commerce ventures, or REV, according to the U.S. Securities Exchange Commission's lawsuit filed in Florida. With the lawsuit, what the lawsuit didn't mention is that a group of former employees had reached out to the SEC in 2023, raising concerns about suspicious business dealings, sources said. Do you know how much of a piece of shit scumbag you have to be that your own employees are the ones that end up snitching on you to the SEC? You have to be running some crazy scams. There's a picture of the guys, you know. To be fair, I think most people who take pictures of themselves outside of private jets are either dickheads or scammers. They're either douchebags or scammers, isn't it? Anyone that takes pictures of themselves standing in front of, sitting on a private jet, they're usually douchebags or scammers. Really and truly. That's like the cat. That's like the type, you know. That's like one of the things you have to do as a scammer. You have to do that. That and having a picture of the starry, what's the car with the stars on the roof and shit? Having one of those, you know, moving your head out the way of the headrest so people can see the logo of your fucking Lambo truck thing. Like, yeah. Let's continue. It says here, we have been trying to get someone to expose Tai Lopez and his gang of fraudsters for a long time, one former employer for Top Post. Another former executive who resigned after a short stint at RVE said, I felt like I'd been compromising myself by continuing to work there. It's possible that I witnessed something illegal. I've never worked for a company promising to pay investors 20% and kept chartering jets and flying all over the country. 20%. Come on, man. I'm not even that big. I'm not even that clocked in when it comes to finances. I'm not even that clocked in when it comes to stocks and it comes to investments. And even I know, number one, you can't promise returns, especially not returns of 20%. Right? I know for sure you cannot promise returns. And if you do promise returns, you don't promise 20%. Because if that was true, you wouldn't get other people involved. Right? That's what you wouldn't do. If you could guarantee 20% for yourself, you just keep, you know what I mean? You just keep rinsing, you know what I mean? Going through and just doing it yourself. You wouldn't fucking be getting random people to join it. You just do it yourself. Or get your friends involved. But you wouldn't open it up to the public. It makes no sense. It continues. In their heyday, Lopez and Mia showed off their wealth and boasted about their financial savvy before their retail empire began to unravel in 2023, the Post reported. Mia, an Iranian-born immigrant who worked in risk and management and NASA space exploration missions, teamed up with Lopez at the height of the retail carnage in 2019. Lopez has a massive social media platform, and frequently offers financial and self-help advice to his followers. The duo allegedly misappropriated $16 million in investors' funds for their personal use, according to the complaint. And again, anybody that you meet that has a picture of themselves as a private jet, that drives a Lambo truck, oh, that's it, big up Aziz, that's in the Rolls Royce with the stars on it, always posting a picture on it, or the kind of guy that wears those orange lenses, glasses, the ones that are meant to like help you concentrate or block out UV, whatever the nonsense are, help you whatever, like they're a douchebag. They're either a douchebag or they're a scam artist. Anyone that wears these glasses with like the orange tint in it, there's something going on there. They're usually flogging fucking AG1 supplements as well. They're going to talk to you about fucking, I don't know, crazy shit. Crazy fraud shit. It continues, it says, REV began acquiring bankrupt brands in 2020, amassing a portfolio of 8 brand licenses that also included Dress Barn, Radio Shack, licensing things. They claimed that they could squeeze more juice out of these dead brands by transforming them into online-only businesses, which obviously, you know, most business people would. The fact that they picked it up anyway, and the fact that no one else did this before, should have been the alarm bells if you're an investor, right? Because most of people, I don't think, should have thought, oh, Tai Lopez and that Mir guy had like crazy knowledge that no one else had. If the real business operators weren't doing what Tai Lopez and that guy wanted to do with these businesses, it was probably because there was no juice to kind of squeeze out of them anyway. The brands were dead, the stores were dead, and they should just be, you know, just folded. But Tai kind of spun it as like, this is a way to kind of rejuvenate these brands, give it a new lease of life, bring them into the modern age, all this nonsense. And I guess some people bought it. But their rapid expansion left them saddled with debts and little cash flow, according to the lawsuit. What's more, they began raising capital from individual investors on twice weekly Zoom calls, promising them outsized returns. You start taking Zoom calls and team calls for money? Again, even as REV portfolio companies racked up monthly net losses from the $3.8 million to $12 million, according to the lawsuit. I'm not surprised at all about what's taken place, said Mitchell Modell, whose century-old family sports chain was acquired by RVE out of bankruptcy for $3.6 million in 2020. Modell called Lopez right after the acquisition to offer him advice about the company's vendors. I got the impression that I was bothering him, Modell told the Post. yeah, exactly. Imagine trying to help him. He's acting like you're wasting his time. Like, why are you calling me for? I'm going to scam anyway. Fuck off. Lopez hired his cousin, Maya Rose Birkenroad, again, another alarm bell. Tai Lopez hired his cousin to be the company's president and chief operating officer. Jesus. Touting a 10 years experience managing multi-million-dollar companies. Like what? On RV's websites, according to the lawsuit. So he even got his fucking cousin to get involved in the fucking scam. Allegedly. But Birkenroad's only professional experience was a substitute preschool teacher, a promoter at a radio station, and an assistant to her cousin Lopez in his online education company, according to the complaint. The SEC is not seeking jail time, but asks the court to order the defendants to return their ill-gotten gains, and pay a penalty. That's gonna really hurt the pockets, you'd imagine. RV filed for Chapter 11 on 2023 and was about to liquidate when one of the largest investors, Raj Gupta, acquired the company and renamed the Omni Media Enterprise in 2024. There is a basketball game. Earlier this year, Gupta tried to entice Modell to purchase the namesake company back for $1 million. Modell told the Post, showing images of the text exchange. Modell offered $500,000 instead, the two couldn't reach a deal. I will sell through a banker and just license it. Gupta text on Model in January. Lopez, Mayer, Gupta, and Birkin did not immediately respond to requests for comment. So yeah, Tai Lopez is basically a scammer. Officially, it's been confirmed now. Sued for $112 million fucking dollars. But again, should you be surprised? I don't think so. You should not be surprised based on some of these videos that he posts of himself all over the place. Let's check one of them. Let's check at least one of them and hear what he's been, because I haven't heard what he's been saying in a while. I've not seen none of his content. I'd love to see what he's been talking about.
And I consider somebody who's given me mentor advice is Steve Ballmer. He said, if you're not creative, you're not going to be wealthy. And if you don't have knowledge, you can't be creative. And how do you get knowledge? Training and drilling. And then as you practice, you get muscle memory, which is like knowledge.
Again, those glasses, man. Those glasses are just scammer glasses. I see those glasses, I see pyramid schemes. Anyone wearing orange tinted lens glasses, they're definitely running some sort of scam. I just know it. I can feel it in my bones.
Physical knowledge in the body. Kobe Bryant used to say, I got to shoot 800 shots before practice. You know, he won 5 rings. That's why I said God or physics, laws of the universe, knowledge acquisition, creativity created, wealth enjoyed. The wealthiest person I can.
That's about.
Remember, they can't control you if you read the right books and inform yourself. And make no mistake, we live in a world where you're trying to be controlled, both maliciously by people and indirectly. There's groups of people that are trying to control you that don't necessarily wake up in the morning and say they want to ruin your life, but the structure of the system is built to control you. It used to not be that way. Look at the American ideal dream. The original American dream was a group of people who didn't want to be controlled by the religious leaders in Europe and the UK. So they came to the US and they forged their own path. That was supposed to be the American dream. Slowly but surely, over time, what Americans or what the original settlers ran away from is now taking place in the United States in the last 10, 20 years. The solution, and I'll give you 3 ways that I think you can know what's true, because this really comes down to what is true and what isn't. There's a whole science of this called epistemology. How do you know that you know something?
How do you know that you're a scam? But again, like, it's just interesting, isn't it? I guess scamming is way easier than doing things the hard way, but it's just all of this like pretense, all of this blubber, all of this gusto, all of this nonsense that he's spitting, that he's trying to make himself sound smart, when in fact he just runs Ponzi schemes. It's like, why go to all this effort? But I guess that's the whole point. You want to disarm people, you want to maybe surprise them, you want to maybe lure them in, and this is how you kind of lure them in, by giving them this idea that you're this wise, sage, philosophical, practical, stoic, rational, critically, have critical thinking abilities, and then you can maybe impart some of that knowledge for a measly fee of like $49.99, right? Per month. You can get access to my mastermind, my group, ask me questions, tap in with a network full of I don't know. It's a bunch of nonsense, but weirdly enough, I don't think that $112 million lawsuit will actually deter people who are fans of his. I think if you're a fan of Tai Lopez, you're still going to be a fan of Tai Lopez. You're not going to care. You're not going to care in the slightest that he got sued. You're still going to think like, you're going to have this thinking like the Matrix is after him. He's actually doing a good thing, blah, 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 which is a really sad part about it. Like, these kind of real life consequences don't really have any real life effect to their bottom dollar. Most people still hang around. You see a lot with the CoffeeZilla people. Whenever CoffeeZilla does a video, he'll interview some people who maybe got scammed, and you'll hear some horror stories about people getting scammed 2 or 3 times by the same person. They'll go back again, give them another chance. They'll believe all the stuff that they said about being sorry and trying to do the right thing. It's like, I don't know. It's just some people just enjoy being scammed. If just as we as people, as humans, we're just, we like to have a connection anyway with somebody in general, and we find it hard to kind of throw them to the side or discard them if they do something bad to us. I don't know. But either way, it'll be interesting to see how it plays out. It'll be interesting to see how it all plays out. I swear to God it will. I swear to God it will. Yo, big up Stussy. Big up Stussy. Stussy just announced. It's already out now, so most likely by the time you hear this, most of it will be sold out. But I thought I'd cover it anyway. This is a Stussy and Wells Bonner collaboration. I didn't see this coming out. I didn't see this coming, to be honest. It came out the blue a little bit. but I really do like what they've done together. Stussy and Wells Bonner. Wells Bonner is well, I think her full name is Grace Wells Bonner, but she makes really great clothes. She's from London, if I'm not mistaken. And they collaborated together for a really cool capsule collection, blending a bit of streetwear with a bit of fashion, and it came out really fucking good. Let's read the blurb quick. Let's read the blurb about this Stussy and Wells Bonner collection, capsule collection going forward. It's a Stussy and Wells Bonner collaboration on a capsule collection photographed by Zoe Gettner in Los Angeles. The collection imagines surf culture through kaleidoscopes, lenses, inspiration traveling beachside from the Labadi and Ball Bay to Tokyo and Santa Ana, as referenced in the updated as an update in the iconic Stussy World Tour graphic printed with co-branded tee. In a worldly take on the beatnik style, fringe hem shorts, studded stonewashed denim, leopard printed jumpers accompany a double-breasted blazer crafted from navy Loro Piana doeskin wool. Wells Bonner codes are reflected in the dark brown leather, the varsity blouson, the silk polo, the printed with an image of the Accra-based photographer Nana Yao Odoru. Together across the water, blessings arrive with the tide. So you see a little group school photo type of affair going on with Grace Wells Bonner. One thing I noticed watching this or clicking around, watching some of these early clips, I think this might be the largest amount of people, the largest amount of non-black people I've ever seen wear Grace Wells Bonner. I don't know if she does it on purpose or Wells Bonner does it on purpose, but I think most campaign pictures I've seen, most editorial pictures I've seen of anybody wearing Wells Bonner clothing, Wells Bonner merch, Wells Bonner footwear, sneaker collaboration, Adidas, it's always been black. She does a very good job of like pushing all that sort of stuff and mostly having black models in her runway shows, black models in her campaigns, black models in the editorial. You don't really see a lot of like non-black people wearing Wells Bonner. So when I saw this, I was like, raw, like white people wearing Wells Bonner. I wonder if people treat Wells Bonner the same way people treat Denim Tears. Because I get the feeling there are some white people out there who might be a bit uncomfortable wearing that cotton reef, you know, design hoodie and sweatpants. But then on the other side of things, I think people like myself who are a bit nerdy about this sort of stuff, I know what the whole cotton reef is about. But I think most people don't even know. They just wear that Denim Tears sweatsuit because it looks cool. They don't actually have any idea what the cotton reef represents at all. So maybe they don't feel uncomfortable anyway. Because whenever I've been to the airport lately anyway, you see a bunch, especially Asian people, who always head to toe in Denim Tears sweatsuits. They fucking love, that's their favorite go to the airport type of a drip. So I wonder if with Wells Bonner it's the same thing. But to be fair, I don't think so, because I see a lot of people wearing the footwear, the sneaker collaborations with Adidas, like the Sambas. The Sambas for a long time were like the de facto choice for any girl or guy, mostly girls to be fair, who were working in fashion, working in fucking PR. You'd always see them wearing the fucking Grace Wells Bonner Sambas. Mostly the silver ones or the ones with like the leopard print or whatever it was on there. You'd always see them wearing it. But it's kind of cool to see you know, some whiteys wearing Grace Wells Bonner. Scrolling down here, you've got that's the varsity jacket I think I was talking about. Oof, the varsity jacket, that looks gorgeous. Look at the leather on that. That is buttery soft. I love the shape of it as well. It comes up a little bit short, right above or right just in the middle of the fucking waist as well there. Look at the fucking ribbing on that elastic on the waistband, nice and thick. Oh, I don't mind that. I don't mind that what's it called? Cheetah leopard print top with the band on the bottom there that's navy and red. That kind of, you know, if you switch one color, it would probably look like Tom Brown, but they look really cool. And there's also a matching shorts maybe too, or maybe those are Stussy Sports. Oh, is that an elongated tee? There's also a t-shirt too. There's a Grace Wells Bonner tour t-shirt, I guess, right? At the back is that a poem at the back? Maybe is that a poem? It says together across the water, sorry, blessings arrive with the tide, sun shining over you. No man is an island. Meet me at the Labadi, Ball Bay, Santa Ana, Tarqua, Venice, Okanagua, I think I says here, Ocean Song now and forever. It looks a little bit elongated too. It looks a bit longer in length. It looks like it's also a thinner material. Not sure if that's on purpose, but it looks a little bit thinner, almost see-through, translucent, as you can see here. You can see the model's tattoo on their back. You can kind of see through here on the sleeve. And it looks like it's a longer shape. I quite like that. It looks like maybe the back is a bit longer than the front. It does look a little bit longer, like an old school tall tee. I don't mind that. Slim on the body, but really long as well. Okay, it goes past the bum. That's really cool too. What is this? This is a suit. Is that a brooch? Is that a flower brooch on there? Or is that printed on the lapel? I don't know. I'm not too sure. I'm not too sure if that brooch there, if that's an actual brooch, if that's a flower, or if it's a print, or if it's a flower that's printed to make it look like a brooch, or if it's a flower that's printed that's pinned on or something, you know. But it looks that I really like the look of that. The styling on it is really awesome as well. I love the way they styled this. Is that a jacket or something? It's almost looks like a sarong wrapped around that model's waist there. There's also a button-up shirt, pinstripe shirt here. I'd wear the fuck out of that. Nice and long, baggy sleeves, covered in water and sand as well. I think that's a really good little nod there. I'm not gonna lie. I like how they've all of them are actually wearing the thing there. I ain't mad at that at all. There's a matching beanie too. There's a hoodie, zip-up hoodie. Ooh, look at the trousers with the studs all over them. I ain't mad at that. The white trouser with the silver studs. Oh, is that a coat? No, that's a double-breasted blazer, isn't it? There's a double-breasted blazer that almost looks like a pea coat away. That looks beautiful. There's also like a polo shirt there with a graphic of somebody riding a horse, of a horse kind of like on his hind legs. Oh, harder than hard. There's a zip-up hoodie. Is that Polo Sport? Is that part of the collection? It almost looks like it's made out of some neoprene fabric or something. There's a zip-up hoodie here that also looks like it has a white zip, which is a cool little touch there. I'm not mind that at all. That's the that's the shirt, the polo shirt with the horse logo, or the horse printed, sorry, on the shirt, in maybe some DTG style print, but I don't think so. It's probably printed on the actual fabric itself, so it doesn't stretch too much or warp. There's also a rain jacket. What do you call that? Like a coach's jacket, rain jacket, in this ivory again. I like this. I think a lot of people have made jackets this season. I saw that Million d'Or North Face jacket that was also made in this kind of ivory off-white color. This has been something I've seen kind of as a running theme for a lot of the collections coming up this season, actually. It kind of, again, reminds me of old school Helmut Lang. Whenever I see this color, I think of old school Helmut Lang, 90s at least, early 2000s Helmut Lang. The jeans as well look like a good fit on there. Okay, so that flower that I spoke about before, I think it's just a brooch. I think it's a design. They've designed some sort of brooch that looks like a flower, but it's not a real flower. It's probably just something that's printed on a fucking printer and maybe, I don't know, cut out or something, and obviously you make it look like a brooch, which is a cool little style. Some shorts under the jeans, I don't mind. There's that leopard print top again. Is that a scarf? Is that a blanket? I don't know. That's a Wells Bonner thing too. Oh, look at the jeans. Look at the jeans. The light blue jeans with the studs all over the seams. I ain't mad at that as well. On the outside of the pocket, along the side of the jeans, around the front pockets, there's studs on the belt. Yeah, I ain't mad at this at all. This is a really cool collection. I think they might kill this. Some suiting, some glasses, some shirts, some blazers. Yeah, big up the styling too. Who's it? Tom Guinness as well on the styling. Photography, Zoe getting an art direction. Edward Quambry. They fucking killed this, man. Really killed this. Let's actually see what everything looks like. And I'm assuming most of it's probably sold out though. Let's just see what is. I'd love to see what it is sold out actually. Let's go here. Shop. Let's do new arrivals, right? I want to see what actually is sold out. What went away? What went away? So sold out immediately is the beanie. Okay, the beanie went out. Interesting. It's a nice enough beanie, but it's just a beanie in the day, right? Ivory off or cream off white, mostly colored. It's got like 3 bands that are brown. Okay, that's a cool logo though, with the double S's and the Wells Bonner underneath it. That's a pretty cool logo. That's a nice bit of branding. You'll probably be, happy to be walking around stunting, looking at everybody with. You know what I mean? I don't mind that. I don't mind that at all. So that's sold out, £55. Anything else sold out here? Is the leather jacket sold out? Nope, because it's 700. Oh, it's 560. Okay, maybe a better price than I thought it would be. That's probably why it sold quite a bit of stuff in there. I wonder how many quantities they made of this. It looks like it's sold out in that leather jacket. Is it in sold? No, it's sold out in small. But it's available in all the other colors, all the other sizes, sorry. It's $560. What's the construction? Is it all leather? Let's see. Product details. What do they say here? Classic fit, made of 100% leather. Wow. Okay. It's made of 100% leather, interlace and polyester. Snap. Okay, and it's $560. That's pretty good, man. That's pretty fucking good. Because the quality looks really buttery soft. I love the stripes also on the sleeve. They almost give you like a captain sort of feel on it as well. I really love the sleeve design. I like that. I like that leather jacket. It's almost got like it's a very it almost looks like a flight jacket in terms of its shape. Maybe the pocket style as well. Yeah, this oh, that's hard. Those jeans. Those fucking jeans, bro. Those jeans with the studs on the sides. God almighty. God almighty, they're hard. Those are some good fucking jeans. Yeah. That jacket is a fucking winner. Whoever popped that jacket, congratulations. You're going to be getting all the bitches, all the fellas, all the day dens and in betweens. I swear to God. Another thing that sold out is a baseball cap. So all the caps are sold out, it looks like. The baseball cap is also a really cool, easy buy, to be fair. It's in that classic Wells Bonner brown and it's double logoed. Anything with a double logo, that's flying off the shelves. You got the Stussy, you know, logo there, the little graph logo, and you've also got the Wells Bonner at the bottom logo as well. So that's an instant comp for most people. People love a good brand. They love everyone to know. They want everyone to know what they're wearing, you know. So they're gonna put that. Actually, what is that material? Is that felt? What the fuck is that? Is that felt? Is that suede? What the hell is that material? It's very shiny. Is that cotton? Is it really? Huh. It looks kind of shiny, like suede or something. Okay, fair play. It's just that's all it is. It's just that. Pre-curved brim. I'm not too mad at the pre-curved brim. I'm not gonna lie. I'm not too happy about that. I like my brims flat, like fucking like what's his face? I like my brims flat, like like what's his fucking name, man? The guy that was in Rock Nation. I love my brims flat like that guy, but you know, I don't mind this, but I don't like it. It's too much like a dad hat, you know, when they do that. And also that strap at the back, that closure, I'm not the fan of as well. But it's a nice hat nonetheless. It's a nice enough hat nonetheless. Ah, the jacket that I like, the jacket in this color, this one sold out, right? No wonder. This is the windbreaker, right? In that off-white color, that kind of ivory. That is hard, honestly. I'm not surprised this is sold out. I am not surprised at all this is sold out. This looks incredible. It's got the Wells Bonner logo there. Is that like a rubber logo, right? It's almost like a rubbery logo stitched on there. I'm not mad at that in the slightest. That I'm not surprised it's sold out. Oh, look at that. Is that a scarf or towel or something? I'd wear that. Yeah, I'm not surprised. And that was how much? 225 or something. That's sold out. The jeans, of course, are sold out. The jeans might be the standout piece in this collection, honestly. The jeans probably are the standout piece, like, especially with that pinstripe shirt. Oh, swap the styling. I wouldn't probably wear them with boots. Maybe wear them with some, I don't know. Maybe roll up the jeans a bit and wear them with like some Converse or something. Maybe that would work better. Maybe some loafers. Maybe that would work better, right? Some fucking tassel loafers. No socks. Oi! Yeah, look at that shirt, bro. But those jeans, man. Those fucking jeans. Are you crazy? You probably make these yourself pretty easily, but oh, they look so good. That little detail, the studding. You know what would be really cool, actually, if they did? I'm not sure if he's done it. Big up Andrew Bunny. There's this guy called Andrew Bunny. He used to be a part of like Gimme 5. I'm not sure if he's still there, but he used to also work at part of like Hideout. He's got his own brand called Bunny, and they make like silver jewelry. Loads of really cool silver stuff. It's kind of, you know, steeped in like British traditions and shit. And they have this really cool stamp they put on the front of it, like with bunny ears, and it's all made out of proper sterling silver stuff, and it's really nice. I'd love it if they did a collaboration with them. I'd wonder how much those jeans would go for if you did a collaboration with a brand that specializes in making silver jewelry pieces and they studded the entire side of the jeans. That'd probably add super amounts of value on them. It's almost like similar to what like what you call it, Chrome Hearts do with jeans, isn't it? Where they add like their own little silver hardware bits and stuff when they're customizing them and shit. But yeah, the belt also is a hard kind of option. Is that a belt or is that the waistband? I don't think that's a belt, innit? That just might be the waistband. That's actually cool. That's a cool little detail there. It looks like a studded belt, but it's actually just the waistband of the jeans. And then you got the logo there that says Stussy was born on the. Oh, yeah, too hard, man. Too fucking hard. I'd wear the fuck out of these. So good. So fucking good. Such a cool design. I'm not surprised they're sold out. The jeans. How much were the jeans anyway? They were like 300, right? Yeah, 300. Not too shabby. What else have you got here? There was a towel. Oh, it's a sarong. Okay, it's called a sarong. Okay. So it's what David Beckham used to wear back in the day. We're definitely going back to that era, isn't it? Early 2000s era. David Beckham in the sarong. That's what it looks like. Okay. The tees are also sold out. Not surprised. The Wells Bonner neoprene hoodie. Oh, that's the neoprene hoodie, right? I was talking about, yeah. That's the one with the white zip. Yeah, that sarong is hard, actually. I'm not gonna lie. The neoprene hoodie is the one that's sold out. Oof. This is pretty hard. Let's not lie to ourselves. That neoprene, yeah. This might be one of the most bought collaborations I've seen from Stussy in a while. I don't think even the Our Legacy things sell out this quickly. Loads of it is gone. The suit is still there though. The blazer's still there. The shirt is gone. The shorts are there. A lot of stuff is gone, bro. Like shit. Yeah, that leopard. I'm not surprised that leopard top is gone. This would actually look really good. This design of this leopard, what is it? This leopard sweater would actually work really well as like a varsity jacket or as a hoodie. They probably should have done that. That would have been sick. It probably would have cost too much money maybe to make. I don't know, or maybe it would have retailed for too much. But I think this design on like a hoodie, a pullover hoodie, a varsity jacket would have been crazy good. Stussy Wells at the back as well. Mad thing, absolute mad thing. I wonder if she requested them to have a black model wearing the thing. I don't know. Big up Wells Bonner. Big up Wells Bonner. No whites allowed. No whites allowed. And there's also some track pants. What are those? Wells Bonner mesh track pant. They're mesh, really. Oh, wow! I've not seen them before. You could usually get mesh track. You usually get these in shorts, like basketball shorts. You know, back in the day, I think like And One players used to wear these, right? That And One era. You get these kind of mesh shorts that kind of go over your knees, but they made them into trousers. Wow. Again, a lot of like late 90s, early 2000 references here. I can feel like these look really great, and there's a zip back pocket as well, which is all super important. I think the side pockets are also zipped up. That's something people don't do enough. Like if you're gonna make track pants, you have to make the track pants with zip pockets because they usually kind of loose and stuff. If you walk around and you know don't have any zips on them, you're gonna be dropping stuff left, right, and center. But yeah, that's a great look, man. The pants with the shirt, ugh, I love that. I love that clash, that contrast with that button-up shirt and the you know what I mean, and the casual track pants. That could be a look for the winter. Actually, I'm not gonna lie. Wearing like Comme des Garçons shirts and then some nice track pants actually, just to kind of mix it up a little bit. But I'm not gonna wear fucking sandals. I'm not gonna have my toes out. So I have to figure something out. Maybe some Jordans. No sandals. Jordans on the beach. Big up, yay! But yeah, really good shit from Wells Bonner and Stussy. I love everything about it. Any more materials for it? I don't think that's it. There's nothing more. No promo videos or anything. I don't see there. Nope, not that I can see. Big up Wells Bonner. Big up Stussy. All really good shit. All really fucking good shit. Big up them. Big up Blood Clot them. Big up Blood Clot them. But yeah, what do I know? Not that much. Not that much. Not that much. Let's talk a little bit about Tom Sachs. Let's talk a little bit about Tom Sachs. Tom Sachs has caused a bit of a stir. He caused a bit of a stir when he announced, I think exclusively via Complex, he sat down with them for an interview and he talked a little bit about this new shoe that's dropping next year. Do you remember when he said, if you didn't win your chance to win the Nike Mars Yards 3.0s, don't worry, you'll be put on the list for more Mars Yard Zeros that are going to be produced. And then other people will get more shoes later on next year. Well, I guess we should have really paid attention to what he said, because I think he did promise some people. He did promise more will be made for the ones that couldn't get them, who got the points. But then for the ones that didn't get the points, he said more shoes are coming, but he didn't exactly say which model. So I guess now, because of that, he's decided to announce that they've dropped a general purpose shoe. Now, if you remember, this general purpose shoe was, I think it was a shoe that came out in between Mars Yards, or around this time the controversy happened where he got exposed for being a bit of a shitty boss and a bit of a creep and stuff. And I think that's when the general purpose shoe came out. And personally, people think of them as like a poor man's Mars Yards, but I really like the Nike purpose. I'm not gonna lie, they're all purpose. What do you call it? The general purpose shoe. I personally really like them. I don't really have a problem with the general purpose shoe. I think they look pretty sick, in my personal opinion. They've got a different sort of appeal for them from the craft, but some people don't really seem to like them. Well, you're probably not gonna like them now, because the way that Tom Sachs is spinning it, he's basically saying that if you didn't win, you lost, so you're a loser. So because you're a loser, you don't get a participation trophy. Your participation trophy, sorry, are these general purpose shoes. So you don't get the really sick Mars Yards that everybody wanted, right? You don't get the Mars Yards 3.0s that everybody went and entered for. I did. I went and traveled to fucking Goodhood in fucking Brick Lane to put my name down and listen. I didn't get fucking drawn, right? I tried everything so far to get a pair. Haven't been able to get one easily. But everyone wanted these. That's what everyone wanted. Everyone wanted the fucking proper Mars Yards, right? No one wanted the fucking shitty general purpose shoe. But if you didn't win them, you're a loser. So because you're a loser, the only thing that you deserve now are the general purpose shoes. And Tom Sachs basically details some of the thinking behind it, but it hasn't gone down well. Let's just say that. It hasn't gone down too well.
So you lost. You didn't score high enough.
Probably him.
Right? Oh, yeah. The prize you trained for, it won't be yours. But you showed up. You stepped up to the line. You did output before input. You ran out. You ran back. You did all this stuff. You did a good push-up, not a junkie push-up.
He's good at push-ups. He's good at them. Free throws, no. Push-ups, yes.
Okay. We're all good at different things. Your wall drawing reflects your commitment. You read before bed. Now you dream better. It's real. You guys try. You know it. You made a medicine ball, which is a sculpture that makes you stronger. You shared your ritual and you tried new ones. Your efforts are your gains. The points never mattered. We had so many people complaining about the points, but it was never about the points. If this is losing, losers are winners. So what we say is participation is a form of excellence.
Wow.
Now, introducing the Nike Craft General Purpose Participation Shoe.
It's the ultimate participation trophy.
Yeah. Available only to ISRU campers who lost.
The 3.0s. If you get the 3.0s, you're not eligible.
You cannot get, so you cannot get.
If you were allocated the 3.0s, you are not eligible for this offer.
Wow.
How could someone tell that? What if you hide it?
So they're only going to come out through this, and they're not going to have a release outside of.
This is only through the app.
Wow. Okay.
We're doing it's $110. You pre-order now from this moment until October 3rd. So it's a pretty short window. It's like a week or something on the ISRU app, and it ships in the summer. This summer.
Jesus Christ.
But it's only if you signed up. So you would have to sign up by now. And this is the first time that we're doing a pre-order with Nike.
So yeah, you lost. So now you lost. You get a pair of shoes that you didn't want. You get a pair of shoes that you didn't want, but you lost. So you get some shoes, and they're gonna come next year. They're gonna come next year. Pretty crazy. Me personally, like I said, I don't really mind the general purpose shoe. I'll just get both, right? If you're a fucking sneakerhead, if you're a fan of the shoes, you're a fan of what Tom Sachs does with shoes, not how he behaves in offices and shit, you're not going to be too worried about them, or worried about the reasoning behind why they're released and why they're available. You're just going to want them because it's a colorway you're probably not going to be able to get in retail, I think, regular, outside of the app and shit. There's not been a new colorway of the general purpose shoe in a long time. But walking around with some loser craft 3.0s is a bit mad. I'm not gonna lie, you know, walking around with loser shoes is a bit mad. It's almost like I feel like this is like a sneaker version of like being Boogie 2988, right? You know, that really fat, overweight, obese streamer who lies about everything, lied about having cancer, lied about getting a face tattoo, lied about getting his hand tattooed. Look, just a fucking consummate professional liar. I feel like these are like the Boogie 298 sneaker version of lying, of being a loser, right? That here you are, you've got these fucking loser sneakers on. Everybody knows you got the loser sneakers because you don't have the really sick 3.0s that you actually wanted. That's what you actually wanted, but you don't have them. You don't get to have these fucking really sick ones. You get to have these ones, which, you know, they're great, but they're not as good as a Nike Mars Yards. Interesting little stamp here on the inside, instep. It kind of reminds me of the Off-White stamp. RIP Virgil Abloh the GOAT. It kind of gives me a bit of the vibe of the Off-White stamp that goes on the inside. I know for the up-and-coming shoes coming up, actually, they don't have Off-White on them, innit? It just says Nike, Oregon, whatever address. So that's the kind of the end of the Nike Off-White collaborations officially. There's no more of that sort of stamp on the side, but still a nice little touch there. It says Tom Sachs Nike Craft, the ISRU logo with Summer Camp SN, whatever there. And here's some more pictures. I guess you can, what would you call that? Would you call that a grey? I say it's grey mudguard, grey eyelets, grey laces, almost like a greyish kind of color. And then for the mesh on the main body here, there's like, it's mostly white. The swoosh is the same design as the 3.0s. It's kind of printed, right? All over it as well. And then the midsole, you've got this kind of off-white kind of whatever. You got, I guess it's kind of off-white sort of application, mostly to make it probably look vintage on the midsole. And then the outsole is completely black. So again, the colorway is inoffensive, really. You know what I mean? I don't feel a lot of people are going to hate the colorway. The color is fairly easy to wear, fairly non-offensive. Nice bits of red here, actually. Maybe the over red is actually a little bit off. Maybe the red kind of makes it look a bit cheap. That badge at the back is what makes it a little bit cheap. I'm not gonna lie. I'm not really too fan of the ISRU badge on the back. They make them look a little bit cheap, but still not too shabby. I ain't mad at them as well. What people saying in the comments, actually? What people saying in the comments? Those are very nice, but I'm still glad to have my 3.0s. Those are gorgeous. Wow, these are great. Winners who put in the work need these too. So happy to have my 3.0s, but okay, everyone's showing up in the comments. I have my 3.0. So dope. Hoping for the 2026 date. Oh yeah, exactly. So there's pre-orders for 26 date for the 2.0s. They haven't got them. So gorgeous. Someone says here, I won, prefer earned. My 3.0s. I'm loving them, but also I'm a GPS diehard. These is a phenomenal consolation prize. So yeah, some people are happy with them. Actually, I don't mind them. I know people on Twitter aren't too happy. They're a bit pissed off with the whole thing, but I don't actually mind the shoe because I'm a big fan of the general purpose shoe anyway. I think the general purpose shoe is actually pretty decent shoe, but some people online are not happy. Actually, let me refresh this and see if there's any. There's 209 comments there. What does it say here recently on the new comments? There's 209. How many comments do we have now? How many comments do we have now? There's 209. How many comments now? Probably a lot more, right? Wow, these are great. What else? I'll trade. Really? I'll trade my size 13 3.0s for these. Really? Fucking hell. Why would you do that? Chance for seeing the wider release since I got my 3.0 pre-order. Oh, actually, I think I actually got an email for these. Actually, that's what I saw. I actually got an email for these. The funny thing is, I didn't do one challenge, and I got an email sent already from the ISRU to purchase a pair of these fucking general purpose shoes, right? And I didn't do a single challenge. I promise you, I didn't do a single fucking challenge. Not one challenge, and somehow I got given the offer to buy the fucking shoes. You see it? I'm not sure if you can see it there like that, but because the camera's a little bit all over the place, but there's a link to complete the checkout there down below. There's the pictures as well. And I think it says you got until when? You got until October the 3rd to complete the checkout. You see it all there, right? There's the link. There's a link for everything there to complete the order. So for some reason, people that didn't even complete the orders, complete their fucking challenges, still got the ability to fucking be able to purchase the shoes as well, which I think is a little bit weird, a little bit strange, but I guess sometimes with these sort of automatic systems, these things happen. But I don't really mind them. I think the idea behind them and the whole loser thing is a little bit funny, tongue-in-cheek. It's almost, it's kind of like you're taking a piss out of your customers. But, you know, Tom Sachs is a bit of a weirdo guy anyway. As you can see from that video, he's kind of got a really strange almost like menacing kind of like face, if that makes any sense. His expressions, he kind of looks like, I don't know, like a villain from a movie. So I'm not surprised that he almost kind of enjoys. He almost kind of enjoys making these fans and people that like the shoots kind of suffer. He's kind of got there's something about his face. It's something about his face. He's not to be trusted. So I'm not surprised that he's cooked up another fucking scheme to get everybody hot and bothered about. But I don't mind them. I don't mind the general purpose shoe. They're a fairly decent shoe to me. I would definitely wear them. I ain't really mad at them at all. But yeah, not too shabby. Not too shabby. Not too shabby. But you kind of, although if I get these, I'm a loser. I also didn't participate in any of the challenges. I didn't participate in the challenges, but I still got the fucking email to fucking purchase a pair of the shoes anyway. So I'm not too sure what that really says about me or what that says about Nike Craft. But either way, it's fucking crazy. It's fucking crazy. Big up Tom Sachs, big up Mars Yard, big up Tom Sachs and all them people in between there. Okay, that's been it. Thank you for tuning in to Jackson Diggle Show episode number 951, I think it was, right? 951. Been a pleasure to have your company as per usual. If it's your first time, check out the show. You know what to do. Smash the like, hit subscribe, all that good stuff. If you're listening to the audio side of the pod, you shall hear my tune of the day, which is Young Thug's new song called Revenge, featuring Lil Gotit and 300 Saint, available for the new album SCUTI. That's my song of the day for day. Enjoy that. If you're watching via the YouTube, you won't hear anything and it will fade to black. But thank you so much for tuning in, and I'll see you guys again very, very soon. Peace.